If you're a lawyer, be competent enough to practice to the point where your client will be proud that you are his lawyer. Now, if you are a judge, be competent enough to do your job such that if a lawyer comes in contact with you, he must know that you must not go to court without preparation. And if you are going to be a litigant, or if you are, a member of the society, be competent enough by making sure that before you go to a lawyer, you have your acts put together.
Welcome to this episode on Noble TV. In Nigeria, we believe we have three arms of government: the executive, the legislative arm of government, and the judiciary. But for quite some time, we've seen an overshadow of some of the arms of government by the executive. Today, we'll be looking at violation of court orders by different persons. We're not taking anybody in particular. And with me to talk about this is my special guest in the house, Mr. Augustine. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today on Noble TV.
Thank you so much.
So we're looking at the constant violation of court order. It cuts across different sectors or different arm of government, where the court gives a judgment and it takes time for some arm of government to obey those court orders. What's your take on these constant violation of court orders?
It is very discouraging. It seems to be striving for a matured kind of a style of livelihood. It's discouraging because you see, in Nigeria particularly, if people are obeying the law today, one of the reasons why they're obeying the law is because of what they are taught in their churches. The second reason is because if you violate their rights, they can go to the police and maybe go to the courts. If now you leave them to actually go to the church all the time, and the pastor is not always knowledgeable enough to provide everything that the people need, and therefore they are not going to the court or the police, the society is imbalanced. Now, if they go to the courts and the courts give judgments that are not in tandem to the rule of law, then the people are endangered. Particularly, like you just said, if the court gives judgment, maybe particularly against government, and government will arrogantly refuse to comply with court judgments, then it will scare the people from actually soliciting help from the judiciary. And when the people are not interested in the judiciary, what becomes of the judges and the lawyers and all that? What becomes of them is irrelevant in the system, and which means the system is not complete. You have the executive, you have the legislator, but the judiciary will be abandoned. It's not proper.
It's okay. Thank you so much. While you were talking, you talked about the rule of law.
Yeah.
If the rule of law is obeyed, I believe such judgments should be obeyed.
Yes.
So for us to have constant violation of these court orders shows that the rule of law is not being obeyed in Nigeria.
Yes.
And you talked about the government violating this court judgment. I don't think it's only the government. Because we see some state, some
powerful individual.
Yes, powerful individual failing to obey court orders, starting from the customary court, the magistrate court, the high court, the court of appeal, and even the Supreme Court.
Yes.
You understand? So what is the place of the masses? What is the place of the poor Nigerian when these court orders are being violated?
Yes. That is why in some societies you have NGOs. You can also refer to them as maybe activists, people who are given to providing solutions, at no cost to some persons. So if the judgment of a court is violated, for example, at the level of a magistrate court, and the poor man does not have money to proceed to the next level to protest or something, because you see, even if the court is violating his order, you still have to go to court to insist on the implementation of the order. So if the poor man doesn't have money to do that, he has to seek for the assistance of a lawyer. And if he doesn't have a lawyer to help him with the little money he has, then there's a problem. So he will just resign his fate to whatever outcome he finds. He will not be able to do anything. So to get out of it, the people must be ready to take their matters up anytime such issues come up. If, for example, now a court has given judgment, somebody have taken my land, and I went to court, and the court says, return my land to me, and you refuse, there must be a provision for me to go to the next level of a complaint. And if I go to that next level, until I get to the Supreme Court, I should be able to move. Whether I have money or I don't have money, there must be a provision for people to actually do that which they're supposed to do legally.
But there's no provision. Is there a provision?
No,
like
there
that?
is. There is. We have a legal aid council in Nigeria. Then we have a society of women lawyers, the one they call FIDA. And there are other ones that do some cases pro bono, that is free of charge, so long as you contact them. There are also some persons who pride themselves as human rights activists. So if you are able to identify any of them and tell them your problem, they are likely to lead you to the right places where you can get help, in such things. And of course, we want to believe that everybody is also sincere, because if you are deceiving yourself, definitely you meet people who are deceiving themselves also, and you meet together. If you just be living in deception, all of you are deceiving yourselves.
It's okay. Thank you so much for that. At least you've made us, our viewers, now know there's a legal aid council and there are other bodies that can help us pursue our cases. Now, let's go back to the judiciary. Some time ago, in one of our states, we have where they were contesting various, I think the governorship aspirants. We have the High Court, for instance. High Court in various places giving different judgments. A High Court in Enugu gave a judgment. A High Court in Owerri gave a counter judgment. A High Court in Abuja gave a different judgment.
Yes.
Is that not the problem why it's hard for people to obey their judgments? Don't you think so?
Yes, it's part of it. And the reason is because we have refused to go scientific. Because if, for example, now, I'm suing Mr. A for so and so, and this thing is put into the system, automated. So if you now go to court D to also institute the same matter against so and so person, automatically the system will just show invalid. This case is already being handled in court D because it's automated. But if we keep on doing manual things, even no matter how, there are some people, no matter how you tell them about the importance of technology, they keep on ignoring it. And if we keep on ignoring technology, we will always be, handicapped on how to manage some of these situations, because we're not able to keep track of what is happening on ourselves.
It's okay. Thank you so much. So you're saying I think it's because of technology.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes some of these courts will know that the case is in another court and give judgment. You understand?
Yes,
because maybe they are being induced to give such judgment.
Yes, if the thing is, if technology is involved, once you put the system, or once you bring about the system, the case in a particular place, you want to register the case, because the first thing to do is always register the case. Now, when you put it into the system says invalid. Imagine when you want to load your recharge card now. When you load it works in your system, in your phone, and when somebody picks it up, and the system will say, this recharge card has been used by somebody else. Or sometimes you say, it has been used by you. Will you keep on trying it? The answer is no. So you don't go further.
It's okay. Let's go to this violation of court orders. Let me go back to this. You see, I mentioned that we have three arms of government. Yes. The executive, the legislative arm of government, and then the judiciary.
Yes.
Where they are supposed to be independent of each other.
Yes.
But you can see that the judiciary is being appointed by the executive.
Yes.
You know that, right?
Yes.
So don't you think that this appointment of the judiciary by the executive is also a challenge why the judiciary is not truly independent?
Yes.
Don't you think it's still a reason why it affects the executive from obeying court orders from the judiciary?
Yes. That is where the level of growth in our society comes in. Because Madam Fodio said, conscience is an open wound. It is only the truth that can heal it. Now, even if you are appointed by the executive, after the appointment and swearing in, you are no longer responsible to the executive. You are now responsible to your conscience. And being responsible to your conscience means that every one of us must understand that this man does no longer respond, to the executive. He is now responding to his conscience. But in a situation where if you respond to your conscience, somebody will still abuse you because you are responding to your conscience, because don't you know that this man appointed you? So it has to do with the society. At the point of appointment, yes, you are responsible to the executive. But after the appointment, you become responsible to your conscience. And if you are responsible to your conscience, you must be guided by the truth. And all of us must understand that you are guided by the truth, not by the executive. So the society is growing, and we want to believe that by the time we get, maybe very soon, we'll get to that point where we'll understand that the executive has nothing to do with our performance.
It's okay. Thank you so much. But sometimes there's always a thin line between being appointed, obeying your conscience, because the executive still pays the salary of the judiciary.
Yes, no, in some places now the judiciary is independent now, but we know that some of what sometimes it's difficult to actually make everybody independent completely. But there must be a level of compliance to this that you can say yes, of a truth, is independent. If a level of compliance is like 70-80%, yeah, it's okay. You just have 20% to battle with. It's normal, because after some persons say how to lobby to be appointed, and if you lobby to get appointed, you must also at least be appreciative of the fact that somebody has done you a favor.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Let's look at this. One, we talked about individuals violating court order. Individual violates court order. The government violates court order. The local government, state government, the federal government.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything we need to do in our constitution that will make it binding on these parties when they violate court order? What do you think we should do?
Yes.
Or what do you think the judiciary can do to ensure that these court orders are being obeyed?
Yes. There must be appropriate laws in place to enforce such laws. And these appropriate laws must not be so ambiguous that we need a senior advocate of Nigeria to always interpret it. So if the laws are there, it becomes very simple. Somebody has violated the law, and you go to the report to the nearest, if you go to court or you go to the police to report, and somebody just looks at it and says, oh, wow. So this is the judgment, say yes. So what did the man do? Say, the man didn't do anything. What do? Go and arrest the person. Or the court may give order to do something to that person, because the person who is handling it is following the law. So there must be a law that is not ambiguous, because some of the laws we have are so ambiguous. Maybe lawyers, put selfish interest into it by making it so ambiguous that even when you want to implement it now, you need a very senior lawyer to continue to begin to now interpret what ordinarily should be understood by everybody.
But we have such laws for people that violate court orders. Don't we have such laws?
Yeah, they are ambiguous because they're ambiguous because some of them cannot be understood by the ordinary person until a lawyer comes in, because we're looking at one another as and or with. We're going to now interpret English, and at the end of the day, technicality takes precedence over the reality of things.
Thank you so much for your time. Just one final word, advice for all the parties involved, the judiciary, those that violate court orders, and the ordinary Nigerian out there.
Yes, if you're a lawyer, be competent enough to practice to the point where your client will be proud that you are his lawyer. Now, if you are a judge, be competent enough to do your job such that if a lawyer comes in contact with you, he must know that you must not go to court without preparation. And if you are going to be a litigant, or if you are, a member of the society, be competent enough by making sure that before you go to a lawyer, you have your acts put together. You must be able to be sure of the case you are presenting, not just go to a lawyer to say, I want you to help me to, this man is intimidating me and all that. You must be ready with your case, and everybody will be able to play their own roles in implementing these policies.
Thank you so much. We've listened to Mr. Augustine share with us on what we need to do, challenges that we have in society as it affects disobeying court orders and court injunctions. We need to get ourselves abreast for relevant information, like he talked about the lawyers, the judge, everybody involved, and also as security agencies should be up and doing, because most times when these court orders are being violated, most times we're unable to enforce compliance from these parties. From us at Noble TV, my name is Noble Arinze. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.